Hello, welcome back to Stardew Valley. We go back to Nutcracker Farm, the one and only on the internet, and the one and only in Stardew Valley, at least in my universe. We begin with checking the calendar, like any responsible villager. It turns out that while we have today to do as we wish, tomorrow is the day of the flower dance, which happens every year in spring. The flower dance is very interesting, so you get to attend the dance and pick out a partner if you're good friends with one of them or more of them. Here we are talking to our husband in the game, Sebastian, about the flower dance, and as usual, he's not very willing to attend, but does so anyway. It's kind of interesting to see the dynamics of different people in the village reflected at the flower dance. But we can save that for tomorrow. Right now, we have our farm to take care of and letters to open. This is one from Pierre giving us a little bit of money, which is always good because in a capitalist society, even in a video game, we like money. And that was a letter from Mayor Lewis telling us about the logistics of the flower dance tomorrow. Here I have built a Junimo hut, and I have my cute little colorful minions harvesting my crops for me. This is part of my farm that I'm not very satisfied with. I'm going to put the sprinklers somewhere else in the end and make the plot of land look a tiny bit nicer than how it currently looks. Here I'm just removing some seeds that I don't really want to see around. If you have all of these trees on your farm, of course it's nice and aesthetically pleasing, but also they drop seeds all over the place, and sometimes you just want to get rid of them. Of course, it helps that the seeds can be used to make field snacks, which I guess is the equivalent of a granola bar in Stardew Valley. Still getting rid of some unwanted crops around and putting in some more bait in our crab pots so that we have a fresh catch tomorrow. It's very convenient to have these little ponds on your farm so that you can get some water if you need to water your crops before you get the sprinklers, and to also put in a ton of crab pots. But of course, they do take up precious space on your farm. When I first started Stardew Valley, I chose the Riverland farm, which gives you very few tiles that you can plant crops on because so much of it is water. It's basically a series of little islands with wooden bridges connecting them. I thought it looked really pretty with all the water, but it was quite inconvenient for me as a player because I like to plant crops. I like to have space to build my own layout and to watch my farm develop as I play the game. And unfortunately, the Riverland farm is a little more static than I had preferred. But of course, this is all up to your preference, which is why I enjoy Stardew Valley so much. To a lot of people, they play games like Minecraft or even The Sims because they like having that creative space. I honestly think that is really important, especially now with so many of us kind of looking for meaning in our lives beyond work and daily routine. I think it's crucial to have a kind of outlet for you to be who you are, to just let your creativity blossom. If you're not someone who's very creative or artistic, I think that's totally fine. I wouldn't consider my farm in Stardew Valley or all the other things I've made in my life, whether drawings, doodles, things that I've written, like short stories, poems, to be the best in the world. But it's always nice to just have that freedom to express yourself, and even if you end up throwing all your stuff away or not showing it to anyone, I think it's still nice to let it out for a little bit. Obviously, that can't be said for everything. I think I learned in class or learned by talking to my classmates that certain emotions, if left out exposed, such as anger, can actually be quite unproductive. So if you're angry and you let out your entire magnitude of your anger, you destroy things around you, you yell at people, that's pretty bad, because then you are letting your anger kind of put itself in your brain and tell you that, hey, if I yell and scream and destroy stuff, then I don't feel as angry, or I feel better, then next time you'll be more compelled to do it. It's a negative feedback loop, which I think is pretty bad. I used to be someone who's quite angry. I think I still do get angry easily, but not to the same extent as before. I get irritated, I get flustered, I get frustrated, and that has been very harmful to my physical and psychological health. I think that I still do feel a lot of negative emotions, but over the years it has gotten more manageable and less extreme. So I'm very grateful for that. I think a crucial part of managing emotions like anger, frustration, desperation, sadness, despair, a crucial part of it is getting the support that you need from around you, which means maybe talking to friends, family, even strangers, looking for professionals to help you out, or maybe trying to find some kind of fulfillment in your life, whether through your job, your career, your hobbies, or just something else. I know that a lot of people have pets to kind of fill that void in their hearts. Not saying that it's a bad thing. I think that we all have this kind of emptiness that need some kind of fulfillment, and some people do that by getting a pet. And that's probably why we see therapy animals or emotional support animals around, because they actually fulfill real human needs that we may not be able to see at first glance, but which are still extremely valid and extremely important. We are going back to our fishing stuff and our usual plots of farm. I'm really not satisfied with this current layout, but bear with me because it gets nicer in my subsequent videos. I make some changes to my farm so it doesn't look as weird or asymmetrical anymore. Though I think there is an overemphasis on symmetry as a measure of beauty. I don't know, I still enjoy looking at symmetrical objects. I like wearing symmetrical clothes. There's a trend going on now with asymmetrical colors, necklines, hemlines on what we can call women's clothing. Oh, hello, Haley. Nice to see you here hanging out by the fountain as usual on a nice spring afternoon. Back to what I was saying, so-called women's clothing, so-called because I think anyone can wear them even if they're commonly called women's clothing. Yeah, they have a lot of asymmetrical things on them, and sometimes they look interesting and they capture your eye. Other times I just don't understand it at all. This is the community center. We're just taking a walk around to see if anyone is here. This is how it looks like when it's nice and restored. All the rooms are clean. They're all suitable for humans to be in, not just Junimos anymore. And it's overall very pleasant. I just wish that Mayor Lewis did something about it instead of leaving it all to us. But then again, that's the fun of the game. You kind of step in and you help this town become a better version of its previous self. I do hate on Mayor Lewis maybe a little too much, but it really doesn't make sense that he has been mayor for years and years and he hasn't really done anything to the town, and all he does is walk around and garden and talk to Marnie and some other people. Demetrius thinks coffee is an interesting specimen. Just wait until he discovers all the things that you can put into coffee to make it even more interesting. Our good friend Linus, we are giving him a cute little flower we found by the fountain just now, and he is teaching us crucial skills to survive, which include maybe growing a lot of facial hair from his portrait in the game. Here we arrive at the mines. You can see that one of the rewards of completing one of the community center bundles is that the rocks get cleared from that small cave beside the mine entrance, and you can pan for metals in the water. But honestly, it doesn't really help because the frequency of metals appearing is low, and sometimes they're way in the middle of the water and you can't really reach them at all. We're just going fishing and seeing if we come across any treasures. It's probably good to attach a fishing tackle to my rod, but I always forget to craft or get a tackle, and honestly I'm not really sure that they do much, so I just kind of go fishing with some bait and a naked hook otherwise. That's my horse with his cute cone party hat, just grazing on the bare soil outside of the mine. I'm not sure why it will try to graze on soil, but who knows, maybe there are some treasures in there that cannot be found from the human eye. That's the problem with us. We think we know everything. We think that, oh, we are human, we have control over the world, but honestly, I don't think that's true at all. There are just so many things that we can't see or feel unless we use specialized instruments, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. People didn't think viruses, germs, microorganisms, UV light that is not on the visible spectrum. They didn't think that those things existed until we have found ways to prove that they do exist. So I think there's still a lot out there that we don't know about. Maybe they could be spiritual, Maybe they might even be creepy, a little bit supernatural, currently unexplained. But I do think we need to keep an open mind and wait for what's out there to come to us. Or not, if we discover it first. That's some of my thoughts on a couple of random topics. I tend to talk about a lot of different things in videos like these. The goal is not for you to listen attentively to all of them. The goal is for you to listen to someone talking about things that may be boring, may be exciting, but the ultimate goal is to help take your mind off what's happening and maybe find some rest or sleep. That's why I record playthroughs of Stardew Valley instead of more, exciting games. That's why I don't work from a script. I talk about whatever comes to mind so that when you listen to this, you can feel yourself drifting off and maybe thinking about something else, and then maybe eventually not really thinking about anything and just totally relaxing and being who you truly are. It's quite ironic because I think when we are all young, especially when we are first born into the world, we don't know very much, but we are kind of just ourselves as we are. We don't have all the influences of society, of people around us yet, because we haven't been able to absorb them yet. That's why I think it's so interesting to look at newborns or very young kids and wonder who they might become and how they might behave in future, because these are just one of life's many mysteries. It is getting quite late in the game, so we are going to sleep, and tomorrow when we wake up, wait a minute. Before we wake up, a very important decision. Should we have a baby? Very important to think about in real life, not as important in a video game. So let's say yes, because we can. Time works very strangely in the game. So a normal human infant takes around 9 months, maybe a little more, little less, to be fully formed and be born. But in this game, I think babies are born in maybe 1 or 2 seasons, or maybe less than 1 season. I don't remember. He bought a daffodil for Robin for dinner. That's truly horrible. I'm not really sure you can eat daffodil. You can eat dandelion, but probably not daffodil. So this prodigal son returns to his parents and gives them daffodil. I truly regret marrying this person in the game and agreeing to have a kid. That was not a good decision, but it's too late now. We are probably pregnant, or we probably signed some adoption papers, however it works in this game, I don't know. Anyway, on the bright side, today is the day of the flower dance. So we have something interesting to look forward to. I think in year 1 of the game, I'm not sure if I managed to find someone to dance with me at the flower dance. I might have just targeted my attention towards one person and given them a lot of presents so that we have enough friendship to dance, or maybe I just spectated, like most people do in the town. I can't really remember anymore. It's been maybe 120 hours in this game so far, plus the other 120 that I spent on a different file, the one with the Riverland farm that I don't currently have on this computer. We have a large collection of coffee beans, so we are going to make coffee. One of my parents got a coffee maker from their colleague who was moving out. That was honestly such a lovely thing to come home to. Just a free coffee maker waiting for me to use it every morning. I got myself some nice ground coffee and my life has changed significantly. I used to go to expensive, overpriced cafes all the time and get their coffee because I was like, well, good coffee is worth the money, but now that I can make my own coffee, I can buy my own coffee grounds and pick out the kind that I like and mix it with the kind of milk or creamer that I want. It doesn't really seem necessary to go to a cafe anymore just to get coffee. Well, it's still good to go to cafes for other reasons like food or the ambiance or just to socialize with friends and other people. But if you have good coffee in your house, then that takes the pressure off significantly. Another drink that many people enjoy is tea. There always seems to be this debate or discussion between coffee drinkers and tea drinkers. Oh, do you think coffee is nicer or tea is nicer? Which one is healthier for you? Which one promotes things like metabolism, weight loss, stuff like that? I think it's okay to drink both and to enjoy both equally. So much of our identity boils down to us trying to take a side on things that maybe shouldn't have sides in the first place. You can like coffee and tea equally. You can have both iPhones and Android devices. It doesn't really matter in the end. Here I'm trying to put my sprinkler in a new place. I think I'm going to end up shifting my entire plot by 1 square upwards. So I'm trying to put it at an optimal position, which looks really odd from here, but rest assured in my later videos I'll show you what happens and my farm will look a lot nicer than how it currently looks in this video. I'm selling some of my flowers, kindly harvested by my colorful minions in the Junimo hut. It's a little strange building that hut and basically taking advantage of free mystical labor, but I mean, if it's something you can do in the game, then I would definitely do it because in real life, no one's here to work for me and help me make my living. I'm here independently with the support of people around me, but I put in my best efforts in trying to make myself a living. And I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. So it's nice to be able to slack off a little bit in a video game. Getting back on our cute horse and selling more of our coffee. I do enjoy the taste of coffee. I enjoy having that little burst of energy from caffeine. I think tea does the same thing as well, but maybe not as strongly, or maybe I just haven't had the right tea yet. Here, once we enter the forest, from the south of our farm, we are immediately brought to the bridge that connects the normal part of the forest to the secret forest. Not the secret forest where you can find fiddlehead fern and hardwood and slimes attacking you, but the actual secret forest that's only open once a year for the flower dance, which is another kind of silly decision. No one really explains it in the game, Mayor Lewis doesn't seem to care that much about it, except that it's a ritual that happens every year. I wish that maybe in a later update they'll tell you about why this part of the forest only opens once a year for the dance. Or maybe they have told us already and I just haven't found out yet. Here we observe a couple of different relationships between the villagers. Clint is hopelessly in love with Emily. If you become good friends with him, then you can find a letter that he wrote to Emily, but he didn't dare to show it to her. That's Harvey. This is Linus. Harvey was trying to get Maru to dance with him, but he's still afraid. Marnie says she's still single. I doubt it. Marnie looks lovely. Well, that really complicates things. You can see all the love triangles starting to form over here. Alex is enjoying the scenery of presumably Haley walking in front of him. I'm not sure. He seems like a strange kind of fellow when you first befriend him, and if you're I think a female identifying game character, then he asks you to go to the beach in a bathing suit, which might be a little strange for someone that you barely know. Should we ask our dear Sebastian to dance with us? Never mind. Okay, let's find someone else then. I'm sure Sebastian wouldn't mind. I wish we could ask some of the older villagers. I think that'll make it so much more interesting. Like, imagine dancing with Pam. Poor old, probably drunk Pam doing the dance with you. I think that'll be really fun. Or you could ask Demetrius or Robin and see if the other person gets jealous. We've got Elliot and Leia over here, both similar looking hairstyles. And this is Kent. He's got a pretty dark past, so we should probably leave him to figure it out himself and leave him with Jody to feel a little bit better. Demetrius is giving us another scientific lecture. Not really in the mood for that right now. That's Jody, our humble, sweet homemaker in the town. Jazz and Vincent as usual. It must be kind of strange to be the only two young children in the game. Imagine you live in a small village and you and another kid are literally the only kids in the village. And you have someone that you know very well, Miss Penny, being your teacher, and everyone knows everyone else. I think that's honestly a little stifling, if that really happened to be the case. So we're making up our mind about who to ask to the dance. It'll be interesting to ask Evelyn. She seems like a really nice lady. I think we're deciding with Sam because he is Sebastian's friend. There we go. So we've got a dance partner. Once that happens, you can't really talk to anyone else except Mayor Lewis to initiate the dance. We get in formation in the middle of the grassy meadow. The other girls are in pretty dresses and we are in our good old farmer's attire. I think that's really nice. Also, I'm very tall, which is very different from what can be said about me in reality. I'm not very tall. I'm at most average and most likely on the smaller side. It honestly makes it very difficult to buy clothing. As a smaller and curvier person, either everything is made for very slim, petite figures, or you find something that maybe fits you around your lower, heavier parts, but the legs of the trousers or the dress or the skirt, the hem just goes all the way past your ankles. Here I'm replacing one of my scarecrows with a different one, putting it in another position in anticipation of me moving my plants a little bit upwards towards the Junimo hut so that they remain in range of the harvest. Quite unfortunately, we can't do anything with old scarecrows, so we just have to throw it out through our inventory. It's getting pretty late, so I think I'm going to do my last bit of farm work and then go to bed in the game. Harvesting our green beans, parsnips from this other smaller, tinier farm patch on the other side of our farm, I guess. I don't really know if I should call it a farm, because I don't think it's just for farming. I think you can do so much more with this space that you're given. You can build different buildings, you can build shacks and put stuff in them. It'll be kind of nice to have a land that's as big as this and which you can do a lot to, but that's probably easier said than done. It's really difficult to take care of a piece of land. It's difficult to deal with all the legal issues of owning land. Maybe not as difficult if you're in a place with abundant land, but everything in the world is scarce, whether that's land, water, other resources. So I think in future things are going to be difficult, but for now we just keep doing the best that we can. We do things like play video games to relieve ourselves of stress and keep ourselves going, keep ourselves sane and healthy. There's a lot that needs to be done, but that's fine because we'll take it one step at a time. It's 1 a.m. in the game. We're not done with all the stuff we need to do, but that's okay because we need to go to bed, and tomorrow we'll do something else. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for being with me as I build up my farm. Hope you have a good night's sleep, and I wait for you to return to my channel. Have a very good rest.